The Democrats are back to their ways. It's actually pretty funny. So here in the state of Georgia, the Democrats literally walked out of a vote on providing transgender surgery for prisoners. They said, we don't want to vote on that. It's just a weird hill to die on. It's strange to me. I don't understand it. And that's actually funny. They showed this Palestinian Muslim lady who I made fun of during the campaign. She had no men in her commercial at all, none, and she still won because, I'm Palestinian, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, how do you think the Palestinians, the Palestinian Muslims really want to fund transgender surgery for criminals? This whole thing's so stupid. I don't understand the thought on this, but whatever. They literally walked out. These old black men walked out. I was like, of all the stuff you've seen, black guys, it's just weird to me, man. I don't understand it at all. To equate Martin Luther King and John Lewis with this is just, it boggles the mind. How much money do the pro-trans people have? I mean, that's the only thing I could possibly think. These guys got so much money that they're like, dude, we'll give you money. It's because there's no way that any smart political enterprise would say this makes sense. It's weird. Now, just because the Democrats are hated doesn't mean they can't win. I always say this to my Republican friends. Say, the Democrats, they're hated. Look, their approval ratings are the lowest they've ever been, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and the Republicans were hated too, and yet the Republicans kept managing to win majorities in the House and the Senate as well. Just because the party as a whole is hated doesn't mean the individual guy is going to be kicked out of office. I'm just telling you, man, Republicans, you got to stop this insanity. The Democrats are hated. We don't need to do anything. No, the media is hated. The media is hated worse than anybody. And yet the media still drives the narrative. I don't understand why the Republicans fall for it, but they do. So anyway, so now the Democrats are back to protesting tariffs. What led to the last time the Democrats protested tariffs? You want to guess? The Civil War. Yes, sir. Everyone thinks about slavery. No, it was about tariffs. The Northern industrialists wanted tariffs to protect their industries. They're growing. They're not infant industries, but young industries that were growing. The Southerners, the Southern aristocrats, did not want tariffs because tariffs were a tax on imported manufactured goods from Europe, mainly the United Kingdom, for sure. And the Southerners said, we don't want tariffs. Because they hurt our bottom line. And also the Southerners said, we don't want free labor either, higher cost labor. We want slaves, all right? And then the Democrats say, we want low cost labor with illegal immigrants, and we don't want tariffs either. It's amazing how the Democrats have gone back to their old roots. No tariffs and cheap slave labor. And slave labor is happening in China. It's probably happening in Bangladesh and Pakistan, all these places. The Democrats don't care. And if they can't buy the cheap labor, export our industry out to China, Singapore, Vietnam, then we'll import cheap labor, illegal immigrants, so we don't have to pay them any money. And we don't want tariffs either. It's amazing how the Democrats are reverting back to the ways of old. I find it shocking just how insane the party is, but that's the way it has always been. The Democrats have always been a racist party that loves slave labor, cheap labor, and they hate American industry. That's all there is to it, man. And so now we got the Northern industrialists who are now siding with the Democrats, actually. But the Northern industrialists aren't industrialists so much anymore as they're more finance and insurance people. That's the interesting thing. They don't produce anything. They just push papers from point A to point B. And they hate tariffs too. So the Northern industrialists of today, the old Republican base of the old days, have now aligned with the Democrats for loving cheap labor and loving illegal immigrants and hating on tariffs. It's amazing. It's amazing the transition of that insanity. But this is what happens when you get rid of your industry, your heavy industry in particularly, and you go to a finance, insurance, economic base of a service economy. And those economies can't last. They just can't. I mean, they can chug along longer than you and I could probably imagine, but they can't last because you got to build things. At the end of the day, you got to build things. And so the Democrats are back to their own ways. Unfortunately, there's still enough leftover Republicans who are agreeing with the Northern industrialists of today. And again, the industrialist isn't industrialization. It's just hedge fund guys, money managers, whatnot. It's just funny to see the Northern capitalists of today aligning with the Democrats of slave labor, cheap labor, free labor, if you will. Everyone just come to America. You don't have to do anything, just come. and then anti-terrorists. And I chuckle at this because if they don't police themselves up, it's not going to work out well for them. I'm telling you right now. As my daughter told me the other day, tons of Georgia Tech engineers are graduating, making $80,000 a year. These are engineers in a trade, engineering, and they're even unable to find a house that they can afford without taking on massive amounts of debt. And this is what causes revolutions, my friends. It's not just the poor rising up. That very rarely works. It very rarely works. You can say it happened in China. Well, China is backed by the communists in the Soviet Union. They had the money, and it's actually interesting if you look at the trajectory of Mao, how much backing he had by the commie Russians. Anyway, so you can say it happens from bottom up, and you can even look at the Bolsheviks, maybe, and that might be your one example, and maybe even Cuba. But anyway, at the end of the day, it doesn't happen very often. And I haven't looked at the details of Cuba in terms of who was, Che and freaking Castro. I don't know the backstory there that much. I mean, a little bit, but not that much. I know Che was a rich boy. I know that for a fact. Who hated blacks, by the way. Anyway, so most revolutions occur when an educated elite class is feeling underwhelmed. They can't find good work. They can't find good wages relative to the price of living. And this is exactly where we're going now. We've produced way too many PhDs, way too many highly educated people who are just pissed off because they don't feel they're valued for their education. And some of these guys are actually making pretty good money, but not nearly enough like what they think. They don't have enough. They think, why is these other guys doing better than me? I'm Joe Schmo. I went to New York University. I got a PhD in freaking picking my nose. I should be more valued among society, and I'm not. And this is where the elite class actually leads to revolution, because the elite class, many of them are actually rather wealthy. They come from wealthy backgrounds and whatnot. They are able to lead a growing frustration among the other elites and working people as well, and that's where the revolution really happens. And then next thing you know, the poor people or the poorer people jump on board when it's legitimate for elites to take over, to say you can revolt against this. Very interesting. And if I were an industrialist, and again, industrialist is not the equivalent of what it used to be, I would say a capitalist today, I'd be very hesitant to keep going down this path of exporting our manufacturing, exporting our jobs, importing cheap labor, and importing cheap products. What's going to happen is you're going to, and then keep educating people with meaningless degrees. You're going to eventually have people who are saying, enough of this crap. We did what we're supposed to do. We got educated beyond our ability to be educated, and we don't have enough power. We don't have enough income, enough power to do anything meaningful in our society. So society's wrong, and we're going to lead a revolution. I'd be very hesitant to that. So if I was a capitalist, I'd be like, yeah, we need to get the base built up again. We need to stop churning out meaningless PhDs, and we need to get the ones that have good quality degrees and good quality education, engineers, ability to find a house and afford it as well. That's what I'd be focusing on, because that is what is going to lead to economic growth for sure. All right, God bless. We'll see you.